Well, Ukraine is obviously a big focus of the NATO summit that will be on today in Washington. And we're going to talk more about that now with NATO specialist Mark Weber, who joins me from the University of Birmingham. Mark, will anything concrete on Ukraine come out of this summit, do you think? Could there be more military aid?
There will certainly be an announcement of military aid. The figure that's being kicked around at the moment is some 40 billion euro. It's not entirely clear what that's made up of and how it is to be funded. And as recently as the Secretary General's press conference a couple of days ago, there was some uncertainty as to exactly what it will entail. But I imagine there will be a big ticket announcement using some sort of figure and some sort of announcement with the detail as to exactly how it's to be funded and what it is to be spent on coming after the summit itself.
How much of this summit do you think will actually focus on Ukraine, and how big of a challenge is that war going to be for NATO in the years to come?
It's the main item of the summit. Secretary General, again, in his press conference, referred to Ukraine, deterrence and defense, and relations with NATO's partners in the Indo-Pacific as the big three issues for the summit. But Ukraine is by far and away the most pressing. And there will be certain deliverables, I think, around not just spending, but also there is expected to be an announcement on a new NATO command in Ramstein in Germany to focus on Ukraine. So the alliance is certainly gearing up to keep Ukraine very much at the center of its agenda for as long as the war persists, I think. So expect it to come up at this summit, next summit, and the one after. This is NATO's big priority.
Now, at many of these summits, it's often about what happens behind the scenes or on the sidelines. How much do you think political things like French President Emmanuel Macron going into NATO weaker, or Joe Biden, the U.S. president, being overshadowed by these health concerns, what kind of effect are those sort of things going to have on the summit?
Personally, I think it won't matter very much at all because summits are very well rehearsed and very long planned. The agenda is already very well laid out. Ambassadors behind the scenes have been negotiating for several weeks on the schedule, the format, the final communique, etc. So I don't expect, in substantive terms, people's domestic issues will cause much alarm unless President Biden embarrasses himself in a press conference or something. I think it will be a fairly slick affair, and Macron's own troubles, I don't think will play through into Washington at all. This is a big set-piece occasion. It's very well scripted, very well rehearsed. So there'll be a lot of speculation about Macron and Biden and others, but actually it's not at summits that things tend to go wrong. It's after, once the stuff actually has to be delivered and heads of state and government have to raise budgets, gain majorities in Congress or the Senate or Parliament. So that's when you get the real political difficulty.
All right, Mark, thanks for that. That's NATO specialist Mark Weber.